Galactic sentient broadcast. Target, planet Earth. Begin invasion in 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, invaders. My name is Scott. This is Book Invasion. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below for more fantasy, sci-fi, horror book reviews. Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about We Ride the Storm by Devin Madson. This is a epic fantasy book that was initially self-published in 2018, but was picked up and republished by Orbit earlier this year in 2020. Now, I had gotten an audio copy of the book from Orbit for review, which was awesome. Thank you so much for that, Orbit. So this book is a epic fantasy in the truest sense. This is kind of an Asian-inspired epic fantasy tale of an empire who has turmoil and is broken, and then there are different factions at hand that are trying to kind of take over that empire. There's betrayal and political divisiveness. So the story is told from 3 different points of view. You have a princess, Miko Tai, who is in Kisia trying to figure out and navigate how she can be the next heir to the throne. But there's some dynamics there that aren't working in her favor. Then we have the next character is Cassandra Marius, who is a kind of prostitute / assassin, which, you know, you have those every now and then. And her storyline about kind of a job that she was hired to do, to go kill someone. And then the third storyline is a Levante warrior. The Levante are kind of these nomadic horse people who worship the horses and live off the land and so on and so forth. So you get those 3 perspectives. Is the current princess trying to climb her way up to the throne. There's this prostitute assassin who's hired to kill someone and how she goes about doing that. And then we have the Levante warriors and the horse people that are kind of thrown into the mix when they really don't want to be. Now, what I will say is that I don't read a lot of big epic fantasy books. The layers of the players at hand and the political conquests are really kind of tough for me to grapple. And this story, having only listened to it on audio and not having the physical book in front of me to see like the map or the names, it was really a struggle for me to get a grasp on I think mostly like Miko's storyline and who the pieces are, who the ministers and the other players in her world were, because I didn't understand their roles and they kind of came and went. It was really hard for me to get a grasp of her story. Cassandra, hers was also a little bit tricky because there's a thing happening with her thoughts that aren't her own, and it's really not portrayed in the book. That's like someone else is speaking in her head. In the audio, I mean, but maybe in the written book there's italicized stuff or something like that, but that also kind of threw me off a little bit. And then Ra Tareen, the Levante warrior, his was okay. His was pretty straightforward. There were a little bit of dynamics within his quote-unquote tribe that I didn't fully follow, and that's just me. So these epic fantasy tales, without having like a book or me like writing things down as I listened to it, which I didn't in this case, it's hard for me to get into those grooves and really figure out what's at play. Like, I can follow the characters, but when the characters come through and they're in front of like a political box of people and they're picking guys out and naming people, you know, I get lost. I don't know who's at what level. There's kind of betrayal and things like that, and I can understand the concept, but the people that come and go in that, it doesn't click in my head. And then in Cassandra's case, Cassandra's storyline was a bit confusing when she's going after the guy she's supposed to kill, and then she's kind of thrown into something else, and then there's a little twist in there that I didn't follow fully. So all in all, I think the book, for a person who likes epic fantasy, you can really get into this book. I think this book would knock it out of the park. For me, who doesn't grasp a lot of those concepts, and I don't know what it is, it may just be that I'm not a fan of politics in general. I don't know. And the political turmoil, the political intrigue that goes on with these characters, I'm not really interested in that. I don't really want to know about the conniving like heads of the court overthrowing what have you. that's all well and good, and I think that's a big part of epic fantasy is that piece. That really doesn't do it for me. So I think the book is really strong for fantasy readers. I'm not one of those readers, so I don't want to persuade you not to pick up the book. There's been lots of rave reviews about it, and it's amazing. I wouldn't recommend to do it on audio unless you can really strongly grasp those concepts. So if you are a big fantasy reader, I would recommend that you definitely pick this book up. If you're not and you're kind of on the fence and you're just dabbling into fantasy a little bit and epic fantasy stories, I would say give this one a shot. Maybe pick it up on physical copy as opposed to audio, unless that stuff really kind of clicks with you, because there are a lot of moving pieces here. There's a lot of plot points that come and go, and there's a lot of characters at play. The three main ones are pretty easy to follow, but the people they interact with is where it got fuzzy for me, and that's just my own interpretation of the book. The story itself is really interesting on how the conquest escalates into the storm that they ride, and the players that are interacting here all kind of clash and come together at a point. And then I think the book wrapped up really well. I think the ending was excellent, and I loved how that played out, and it really led to, what's next. So it has all strong points to it. My experience with the audiobook and the story fell a little bit short. That's a deficiency on my own part. So anyway, I would say do check it out if you're a big epic fantasy fan, and if you had just gotten wind of it through the grapevine and you've heard the buzz and you want to try it out, I would say definitely give it a shot. Pick up a physical copy and kind of have a notepad next to you just so you make sure you can follow it and get the full effect, with a little sidebar of notes to follow along. But anyway, those are all my thoughts on We Ride the Storm by Devin Madson. Thank you, Orbit, for giving me a review copy of the book, and I hope you all go check it out. It's a really excellent read for fantasy fans. It didn't hit that hard for me, but definitely go check it out. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.